Whether you're jumping into the game for the first time or finally making one, a wizard can be a little confusing when it comes to breaking down all of their individual schools. In this video today, we're going to go through each one of the individual wizard schools, or basically their subclasses, and talk a little bit about which one might fit best for you in your playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3. Now, if this is your first time on my channel, the way I do things here is by upfronting the knowledge in my videos so that you can quickly see if this is the right one for you or go further into more detail, whatever makes most sense for you. So with that being said, I'll just say that the two schools that I think maybe are quote unquote the best, in the sense that, hey, I'm new to the game, I don't really understand a lot of the mechanics to everything, I just want something that I can choose that is not going to be a bad idea and it's still going to give me some sort of return or whatever it is. And those, it breaks down to two. The School of Evocation or the School of Divination. Either one of those you're going to be just fine with, especially Evocation's very first ability, Sculpt Spells, which makes it so that your allies don't take any damage from any of your AoE spells. So that's something that you could just take at any competency level in the game and actually have a very strong or fine wizard, right? Like, hey, I don't have to worry about my fireball roasting my own bros. And Divination is also very strong because of Portent and its ability to kind of add dice rolls into things. So if that's all you wanted to know, then please feel free to shut the video down. That gives you at least some idea of the wizard that you want to make, or maybe the wizard that you want to set Gale as, or any of your other companions, because remember, you can respec all of them. If you are heading out, please don't forget to like, comment, and or subscribe. I have a current viewer base of 89% unsubscribed viewers, so I'm trying to change that metric by the end of the year, so every little bit helps. You can go ahead to navigate to any part of this video that interests you the most using the chapters about the timeline and the description, and don't forget to check out my playlist of all my Baldur's Gate 3 guides if you have any other questions about anything else within the game. Well, let's get started here on what is the best school of wizardry in Baldur's Gate 3. Loading into the game, let's talk very quickly about some general information about all the schools, so I don't have to kind of keep bringing it up with every single one of them. So in Dungeons and Dragons, whatever the hell the name of this game is, you have 8 schools of magic, or 8 different subclasses here you can choose from as a wizard. Now, this doesn't matter if you're a cleric, a sorcerer, a ranger, a druid, it doesn't matter. Everyone pulls from these 8 schools, and your spells will always have some sort of modifier of being one from one of these 8. When you select one as a wizard, you aren't necessarily barring yourself out from any other spells. If you are an Abjuration wizard, you can cast Necromancy spells. If you're a Necromancer, you can cast Diviner or Divination spells without any problem. There's nothing that bars you from doing that. So don't think that this kind of gates you or focuses you down at one specific lane. Really, the best benefit of selecting a specific subclass is the discount for scribing that scroll into your spellbook. So take Divination here, or any of these for any matter. It'll say, learning Divination spells from scrolls only costs you 25 gold per spell level, not 50. So if I wanted to scribe a level 3 spell, that would be 150 gold. But if it's a level 3 Divination spell, it's 75 gold. There you go. And then outside of it, you get your subclass features, which is going to give you some sort of benefit, typically towards that specific spell school. Or it might not. It might be something that's just kind of a generic bonus, whatever it is. So an abjurer doesn't necessarily cast abjuration spells better than a necromancer. You just maybe get them at a better, you can scribe them at a cheaper rate, and you get a different subclass feature than a necromancer. Take, for example, here, Arcane Ward. The residual magic of your spells forms a ward around you that protects you from harm every time you do a little bit of magic. Versus Necromancy here, Grim Harvest, once per turn. If you kill a creature with a spell, you regain your hit points. So you can see that none of these are going to make a difference if you want to cast specific spells and you're like, you know what, I don't want to go down this path. I feel like I'm going to get barred away from it. Or maybe I don't really want to cast all these spells all the time. Doesn't matter. It's just pretty much a scribing discount and a specific subclass features. That's it. So that's some general information. Let's jump into our first one with Abjuration. So Abjuration is a very interesting subclass because I think it's one that a lot of people gloss over because it doesn't seem as good as when it comes to being a pure wizard. So the way I'm going to do this is talk about the 3 abilities that each one of these subclasses is going to get at 2, 6, and level 10. We're going to talk about the spell school of Abjuration and for every subsequent subclass. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about how this can kind of be spiced either into the wizard or how you can go across into multi-classing, whatever it is. So also too, in the link below, in the description, I'm going to put a link to BG3 Wiki where it shows you every single spell in the game. There are some sites that have a breakdown by spell school, but I didn't want to support that site, so you can go ahead and Google it if you so wish. But Abjuration is very interesting in that it has an exploding spell class feature. Subclass feature. It's called Arcane Ward here. The residual magic of your spells forms a ward around you that protects you from harm. That doesn't make a lot of sense. How does it work? Let me show you. I think that's the only one that'll work here. So let me go ahead and press accept. And we're going to leave this and jump right here. So you can see that I've got this here right now. Arcane Ward. Your Arcane Ward blocks damage equal to its charges and then loses 1 charge. Casting Abjuration spells will add charges equal to the level of the spell. Meaning, if I were to cast a level 5 spell, it would add 5 charges to this. And the way that this really works here is you want this to basically boost every time you use it. So like, let's say I'm going to cast this Mage Armor. It's a level 1 Abjuration spell. And just goes up by level 3 now. So basically what this is going to do here is, and I think this can go up to a maximum. I'm looking at the BG3 wiki. Each time you cast an Abjuration spell, the intensity of the ward increases by the amount of the spell's level up to a maximum of 2x your wizard level. Meaning if I'm level 5 wizard, then the max that this can become is 10. Each time you take damage, the ward blocks an amount of damage equal to its intensity, and its intensity is increased by 1. Again, what that means here is if this intensity is at 10 and I take 11 points of damage, it will block 10 of that damage. I'll take 1 point of damage, and the intensity goes from 10 down to 9. So that's how that works. But what you would do here is you would use Abjuration more so if you are not going to be a pure wizard. You definitely can if you want to be a defensive wizard, go for it. But what Abjuration really is going to spice very well into is an Eldritch Knight. And I don't mean an actual Eldritch Knight, but being a fighter and going down Battle Master and choosing the Wizard subclass of Abjuration enables you to really get some really cool characteristics because that Arcane Ward gets better and better as we go ahead and level up here. So let me just go ahead and quickly I'm just clicking things to get to level 6, because level 6 is what I want to show you that really allows you as a wizard, or a wizard fighter in this case, to really have some fun capabilities. So Projected Ward is what you get at level 6. When a nearby ally takes damage and you have an active Arcane Ward, you can sacrifice your ward to reduce the damage they take. So this enables you to spice into fighter and kind of become a character that has a little bit of like a tanking role, right? I mean, I say fighter because I think of Eldritch Knight when I think of Abjuration. And Eldritch Knight is very lackluster by comparison to just simply multi-classing as a wizard and fighter. Then at level 10, you get improved Abjuration. So each time you take a short rest, the intensity of your Arcane Ward increases by an amount equal to your wizard level. So if I were to take a short rest right now at level 10, my intensity would go up by 10. So you can see that the School of Abjuration maybe on paper seems like a school that doesn't make a lot of sense as a wizard. I want to cast spells and do damage. The defensive characteristics of it, it's just, you already are implied as a wizard you're not going to have as much defense. And it's a cool thing to kind of mitigate that, right? You mitigate the massive amount of defense you don't have, either by armor class or health, with really cool defensive capabilities from the Abjuration. But I think that an Abjurer, or going down the School of Abjuration subclass, can really have a lot of fun if you put this into a paladin, well, maybe not because it's intelligence, but still, if you put this into any kind of combat character and pull Arcane Ward into your character. You start the game out, You maybe get your wizard level to level 6. That way you can project your ward onto other characters for defensive capabilities. But you use Mage Armor or any of the other Abjuration spells, because there's quite a few. Shield is a really good one. Let me see if I oh, okay, well, of course, this is, well, Protection from Energy is one that you can see right here. Blade Ward is another one. Take only half the damage from bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing attacks. And if you're up close and personal, just go ahead and use it. It does cost an action, sure, but still, my point remains here that you can just kind of have these things floating off all over the place. And Shield is, I chose Shield earlier, but Shield is a reaction spell, which is really cool. So here you go. Shield, level 1 Abjuration spell. When you are about to be hit by an enemy, increase your armor class by 5. You take no damage from magic missile. So this is a really cool way to get some quick reactive arcane ward online. It's a subclass that I think a lot of people sleep on, but it's one that I think spices out to melee classes very well in a multi-class scenario for the wizard. The next subclass I want to talk about is Evocation, and this one's very straightforward. This is going to be a pretty short section, but the first thing here is Sculpt spells. Create pockets of safety within your Evocation spells. Allies automatically succeed their saving throws against these spells and take no damage from them. Meaning, of course, if I were to cast Fireball, as a really good example, it has a big, huge radius. If you read the text of any spell, hurl a sphere that deals thunder damage and possibly creates a surface on impact. Alternately choose a different type of damage. Usually anything that'll say something like, oh, there goes, blind creatures up to a combined 33 hit points. Creatures is saying that it will hit both aggressive and non-aggressive, enemies and allies. It will say exactly in the verbiage, blind enemies or something like that. It'll say that it'll only attack or hurt enemies. So with Evocation, these abilities, each flammable target, your ally is a flammable target unfortunately, is hit with 3 to 18 fire damage. Well, not with Evocation, because this is an Evocation spell. Keep in mind though, Color Spray is an illusion spell. So even if I took the Evocation subclass, my Sculpt spell capability does not apply to this. It would still blind my allies. So just kind of be mindful of those things. Anything that is an AoE ability is not free of doing damage to your allies unless it is specifically an Evocation spell. But that's our level 1 or level 2 capability with Sculpt spells. Let's take a look at level 6 and at level 10. Before we talk about that level 6 ability, it's worth noting that your spells for Evocation are going to be pretty much any kind of pure direct damage spell. So when you take a look at something like Burning Hands, like we saw before, I did not know that was a Conjuration spell. But Witch Bolt, Burning Hands, those are two really good examples. Fireball, Chain Lightning, pretty much any just kind of very stereotypical wizard damage spell is an Evocation spell. Alright, level 6 gives us Potent Cantrip. Your cantrips become harder to evade. When a creature succeeds its saving throw against one of your cantrips, it still takes half the cantrip's damage, but suffers no additional effects. So this is a great way to just always kind of have a reliable amount of damage with your cantrips. Remember, cantrips are level 0 spells. They do not take up a spell slot. You can cast them every single turn if you so wish. So if you wanted to, say, get Eldritch Blast or Ray of Frost or any of the other ones, you can constantly be using them. And on top of it, if it's going to be easily resisted, it at least will do half damage. And remember, your cantrips will scale as you start to level up. They won't always be very low level damage spells. They will start to get better around that. Actually, I think it's around level 6 that they start to get better. So they'll scale and get more potent and do more damage. And it'll become even more potent with this potent cantrip capability here. And lastly, at level 10, you get Empowered Evocation. So now you can add your intelligence modifier to damage rolls with any Evocation spells. Remember, there are a bunch of different rolls that happen when you cast a spell. You have your DC, you have all spell saving throws, all sorts of stuff. But once all that happens and the actual damage kicks in, you get to add whatever that number is, that is your ability modifier, your intelligence modifier, to the damage roll. So let's say I cast Fireball, they save, blah, 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 blah. It's going to do 10 damage. Well, now it does 13 damage because of this. And there's plenty of other ways to increase your intelligence within the game, obviously. But there's other ways to add to that damage roll through a ton of wizard equipment. So this can be a really awesome way to just add a lot of layer of damage. So overall, Evocation is just a very straightforward subclass that if you want to just have a wizard that's throwing spells and doing damage, focusing 100% on that, this is going to be the subclass for you because you are going to be an absolute monster, adding tons of damage. You're always going to have some form of way to do that damage with Potent Cantrip, and your allies are going to be safe from your AoE spells from Evocation with Sculpt spells. Our third subclass is the Necromancer, or Necromancy. And this, very similar to Abjuration, spices very well into melee classes because you can have a lot of fun with being able to essentially summon up undead minions to do your bidding. Because honestly, the level 10 capability for the Necromancer isn't as awesome as the level 2 and level 6 ones. So with Necromancy, you have this ability right here, Grim Harvest. Once per turn, if you kill a creature with a spell, you regain hit points equal to twice the spell slot level used. Thrice if it's a Necromancy spell. Undead and constructs are unaffected. So, if I kill someone with a fireball, I think it's a level 3 spell, a level 4 spell, let's just say it's level 3, then I get 6 hit points left, or back. If I kill someone with, just say, Inflict Wounds, and I think that's a level 1 spell, I would get, okay, 3 hit points back. It's not as cool, but still, you triple that number, whatever it is. And what's nice here is that if you're playing a Paladin, if you go an Oathbreaker Paladin who summons undead, and uses the Aura of Hate and has Divine Smite. Divine Smite is an evocation spell, and you can use higher spell slots to cast it. So you could use a level 3 spell slot, kill someone with it, and you get 6 hit points back with Grim Harvest, which is spicy. It's absolutely majestic. For your Necromancy spells, you'll obviously get Animate Dead, which we're going to talk about here at level 6. But some other ones that you're going to get access to are going to be stuff like Bestow Curse, Blight, Blindness, Bone Chill, which is a cantrip. Couldn't think of that word. Circle of Death, Contagion, Speak with the Dead, all of the rays for the most part, most of the rays at least. Ray of Enfeeblement, Paralyzing Ray, Ray of Fear, Ray of Sickness. Those are all Necromancy abilities, and especially Vampiric Touch, Wounding Ray. Those are all Necromancy capabilities. So that's just to kind of give you an idea here. False Life, there you go, Necromancy spell. Of what spells you'd be taking advantage of as a Necromancer. So you'd use a lot of general crowd control. You'd have a good amount of direct damage spells, but those spells are more geared towards status effects more than anything. And of course, the ability to Animate Dead. So let's jump to level 6 because that's where it gets spicy here for the Wizard and talking about Animate Dead. Level 6 Necromancer just automatically gets Animate Dead. And you create an undead servant from a corpse. So that's a crucial portion you have to remember about this. You're going to be carrying corpses around so that you can summon them up. And when you do summon them up, they are not on any kind of timer. You summon them and they are with you forever. Well, until they die. And actually, I think it's until you even do a long rest, but still. What you get from this is the ability to get an additional summon every time you summon something. So when you use Animate Dead, you raise an additional corpse. Lovely. And then you get better summons. So creatures created with Animate Dead have additional hit points equal to your wizard level. So in this case, that'd be level 6. And your proficiency bonuses added to their damage. And at this point, I think it's still... Oh, no, it's 3, I think, at this point. It would go up to a positive +4, which is opposed to a negative +4. It's a +4 bonus at the end of the day, which your max level. And this evolves because Animate Dead at level 3, you get 1 minion. It's just, you cast it, and just disregard this for this little bit of discussion. Animate Dead then evolves at the 4th level. When you cast it, you get 3 minions. And then if you're a Necromancer, you get a 4th. And then when you cast it at the 5th level, you get 1 ghoul or a flying ghoul. And when you cast it at level 6, you get 3 ghouls or 3 flying ghouls. So this spell becomes really crazy if you're a Necromancer. And those summons, remember, like I said, they're not on a 10-turn limit. They stay with you until a long rest. So you've got, and I think they even last beyond the long rest. I think they changed it in a patch just recently. So these undead are following you until you summon more. So at level 6, you would get, because of your abilities here, 4 ghouls or flying ghouls. So if you want to play a character that's using a ton of summons, uses direct damage and some status effects and some crowd control, Necromancer is definitely for you. And if you want to bring this into an Oathbreaker Paladin going 6 Wizard Necromancer and 6 Oathbreaker, you're going to get so much value train going because of all of your subclass features, because of Aura of Hate giving you additional damage there, because of your Grim Harvest helping you act out as a heal, especially if you do any kind of Necromancer spells. And there's plenty of Necromancer spells that you can take advantage of at this point. So you can see that the Necromancer is probably one of the most fun and diverse subclasses. At level 10, I'm not even going to push myself all the way there. You get inured to death, which means that you are resistant to necrotic damage and your hit point max cannot be reduced. That's all that happens at level 10. So honestly, I definitely think that level 6 Necromancer, level 6 Oathbreaker is a really, really, really cool subclass or multi-class capability that you can take advantage of. Conjuration is a school of magic that I think, as far as subclass goes, it's a little lackluster. And I'm just going to be completely honest with you there. If you want to play a character that focuses, though, on summoning familiars and summoning spirit guardians, everything of the source, planar allies, this is going to be the one for you. Conjure elementals, though, is probably the best portion of the conjuration ability, especially when you get to like the Myrmidons. That's a very specific route you have to take. With the Conjuration School, you get this ability. Minor Conjuration, Create Water. It's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible, because you can actually kind of use it in fun ways, because this allows you to create water as a source of water on the ground. So you can use it to combo in a what's it called spell, a lightning spell, and it'll cause electricity and can shock things. You can use this to douse the water the ground that has maybe flames on it, whatever it is. Forming water surface is actually pretty cool. Unfortunately, though, it does cost you an action. I'd much rather use an ability instead. If this was like a bonus action, I could actually see Minor Conjuration Create Water to be pretty cool and useful. It can be useful more in the narrative portions of the game where you have to move through or navigate portions, like if you're trying to kind of jump around and there's maybe a fire surface. This is kind of nice. And as far as conjuration spells go, like I was kind of saying earlier with Conjure Elemental and Summon Familiar and all of them, there are some spells you probably don't think of as conjuration spells, like Acid Splash, which is a cantrip. That's a conjuration spell. Arms of Hadar, which is a warlock spell, that is a conjuration spell. But so is Ensnaring Strike, Entangle, Poison Spray. Those are all conjuration capabilities. Fog, Cloud, Grease, Cloud Kill, all conjuration. Even Call Lightning is a conjuration spell because you are conjuring that lightning. Not to be confused with Chain Lightning, which is an evocation spell. So Conjuration does have its definite uses, but I think that the problem I have with Conjuration is that that's the level 2 ability. Let's jump up to level 6 to take a look at Benign Transportation. And here it is. Teleport to a nearby unoccupied space or swap places with an ally. It's a 30-foot range. And it's pretty interesting, right? So I get that ability to kind of like move around, very similar to a Misty Step, right? So if I find this on my bar somewhere, go ahead and do that. We can do this, and we move over there. Voila. And that's barred, right? We can't use it now for until a long rest. Or to replenish this feature, the entity must cast a conjuration spell level 1 or higher. So if I go to do this, you can see that does not replenish it. I actually have to use a level 1 spell because this is a cantrip. Well, that's a class action in this case. A class action lawsuit. We summon up a little froggy poo. And now we've replenished our Benign Transportation. So this is actually a really cool mobility spell that you get access to at level 6. And it allows you to move around quite a bit. It's cool. And also at level 10, you get damage taken while you are concentrating on a conjuration spell will not break your concentration. Which is actually very good because Cloud Kill, I don't even think I have it active on me. Web, any of those kind of Fog, Grease, any of those kind of permanent placement abilities that allow for a lot of status effects or whatever, those are concentration abilities. So having the ability to kind of dodge that concentration breaking is very nice. So that is actually a very nice ability to have at level 10, but it only works for conjuration spells. Damage taken while you are concentrating on a conjuration spell will not break your concentration. So if you want to focus on the conjuration portion of the game, trying to summon up your familiars, your planar allies, stuff like that, this is really going to be the one for you. The one thing, though, I just wish this had instead of conjuration water, I wish you had the ability to add maybe your proficiency bonus or your intelligence modifier to damage or spell damage rolls of your conjurations, and that would make it a lot more worthwhile, because as it stands, I can't make conjurations any better than anyone else who can conjure in this game. Versus Necromancy, I'm using Animate Dead and I'm getting better animations, and those animations at the same time I get more of them. So Conjuration doesn't really benefit from that, so I find that very frustrating. Again, though, keep in mind that this is not just simply summoning things, right? It's Grease is a conjuration spell. Cover the ground in grease. Anytime you conjure something from nothing and put it somewhere, either a creature or lightning, it counts as conjuration. The Enchantment School focuses on spells that are pretty much going to lock people down. You're gonna charm them, incapacitate them in some way, shape, or form. And that's true of stuff like Tasha's Hideous Laughter here, which kind of sends them prone. But this can also be true of spells like Bane or Bless, which actually add 1d4 or subtract 1d4 depending on which one you're using. Dominate Beast, Dominate Person, Enthrall, Friends, these are all enchantment spells. Same thing with Command, Hex, all enchantment abilities. Sleep is a really good one. Vicious Mockery, of course, Animal Friendship. Those are your kind of typical list of enchantment spells. Now, the big action here is Hypnotic Gaze. Charm and incapacitate a creature. It cannot attack you. It cannot act. You can maintain your Hypnotic Gaze each turn to extend its duration. So basically, you'd use this as an action to keep this going every turn that you'd want to have it going for 2 more turns, basically. And if the person takes damage, then they snap out of the Hypnotic Gaze. It's a pretty cool ability, I guess. Yeah, it's one of those ones that's like, it has a very limited use case in that you have to be in melee range, which makes it really rough to use, and there's wisdom saves that are associated with it. So another thing to consider too with enchantment is that enchantment is very beginning, I'd say maybe in the beginning portions of the game, but starts to fall off very quickly towards the end of the game. Sleep, for example, loses its usefulness very quickly because it's capped out by the hit points required. And wisdom saves become a lot easier for the enemies to make because they have much higher wisdom towards the end of the game. But stuff like Bane, Bless, Hex, Dominate Beast in Person, Command, those are almost always useful. So don't think by taking the Enchantment School you're taking a gimped school or anything like that. I'm just saying that a lot of those abilities like Hold Person, Hold Monster, which are great, towards the latter portion of the game, they're easier to resist. So you have to either get Bane on someone so that they cannot resist it, whatever the case is, and try to really kind of push things through. As far as your level 6 and level 10 abilities, level 10 is pretty interesting because it allows you to split your enchantment. So if it would only target one person, like say for example Hold Person only targets one person, or Command only targets one person, split enchantment will split and will allow you to target 2 creatures. So at no reduction or penalties or anything like that. And then at level 6, you get Instinctive Charm. So I'm actually not even going to jump to level 6. We're going to go ahead and press Accept here. And I'm going to press this button. Because Instinctive Charm basically gives you this. Channel the dark lure of the tadpole to charm an enemy that attacks you, preventing them from attacking you until their next turn. It's essentially the same thing. Someone is going to do anyone who attacks you, they have a reaction. Instinctive Charm kicks off. If they fail their wisdom saving throw, then they are charmed. It's the same exact thing. So the cool thing here is, and why I've brought this up, is that you can actually have Instinctive Charm active at level 6 and this active. Both require a long rest to allow you to use them again. So you can get 2 layers of being able to charm people as a reaction if they hit you. So Enchantment School is again focusing on locking people down. Hold Person, Dominate Person, Dominate Monster, Hold Monster, those kinds of things. But also stuff like Bane and Bless, and also giving you some sort of abilities with Tasha's Hideous Laughter, Vicious Mockery, and Sleep. The Divination School is one that's unique in that there are, I don't know, like 6 spells. Detect Thoughts, Hunter's Mark, See Invisibility, Speak with Animal, True Strike, Promise of Wealth, and Guidance. That's it. That's the only divination spells that are in this game. 7 total spells that are in this game. But what you use divination for is the portent capability, because you're divining, you're scrying into the future. And what this allows you to do is basically gives you special die called Portent Dice. During the day, you can use your reaction to change the die of any attack or saving throw rolled near you to one of your Portent die. And why that's so strong is this applies to everyone, and the near you is 60 feet, 18 meters. That's a pretty significant range. And this allows you to basically kind of completely swap a situation. You know what? You're doing an alpha strike on a really hard hitting boss. You really need these hits to kick in. And maybe someone's using Weapon Master, so they're already at a disadvantage. You can use Portent to push an attack roll or a saving throw through to do the damage. Or maybe you are getting hit by a really heavy, hard hitting boss, and you really don't need that hit to connect. Use a Portent die and you can swap this out. It's very similar to Lucky, but it's something that you can extend out to other people, and that's why it is so lovely. And this will evolve at level 6, which gives us Expert Divination. So that's all that there is to see right here. Let's jump up to level 6 though to talk about that, because that's a pretty spicy capability as well, and I'll show off those Portent die. Expert Divination here, you gain an additional Portent die, and when taking a short rest, you receive a prophecy completed to regain missing Portent dice. So in order to show off how that works, we have to take a look at the Portent dice themselves. We have to use them. You can't just simply do it and have something work. So first off, I want to discuss Portent dice because I haven't actually shown them. So you can see these little numbers at the bottom of them, but if you hover over it, it's easier to see. So this is Portent die 5, Portent die 10, and Portent die 11. Every time you long rest, the game will randomly roll the dice and it will assign the die. So I will always have basically a 5 that I can use, or 11 or a 10 that I can use with my die. So for example here, Kale cast Fireball on Fist. Fist needs 16 to save. They rolled an 18. Well, I can change that to a 5 very easily, and we're going to do it. So I've done that, and they now do not resist the fireball I just cast at them, and it enables me to kind of push through with what I wanted to do. So that's how your Portent die are actually used. You're going to use them either in that situation where I'm changing their saving throw, I may be trying to add to my attack throw, or whatever saving throw maybe I'm trying to defend for myself. Whatever it is, the game will auto-apply it if possible. So now that we've used some of our Portent die, let's go ahead and do a short rest. And what's going to happen here is, I can see this pops up. Prophecy, a little prick, that's me, but also deal at least 1 piercing damage to an enemy to regain a Portent die. And then this one, Prophecy, guarded. Casting an Abjuration spell will result in a new Portent die. So you can see my original Portent die of 11 is still there. I used my 10 and my 5. Let's go ahead and cast this. That's going to complete a prophecy. You can see that that disappeared over here. And now we have a Portent die of 6, which can also be good, right? You want high and low ones because you can use the low ones on your enemy and you can use the high ones on yourself. And doing any kind of piercing damage, which I believe my bow here would do, doing 1 point of piercing damage would replenish this prophecy as well. So this is a really great way to recycle all these Portent die to get all the value out of your Portent die that you can every short rest. You don't have to do a long rest to regenerate these dice. It's kind of a fun little metagame challenge for the Divination School. And the last thing you get at level 10 for Divination is Third Eye Dark Vision. You gain the ability to see in the dark out to a range of 80 feet until long rest, or Third Eye See Invisibility. Become able to see invisible creatures and possibly reveal them to others. And these would both act as a ritual spell, so it would not take up a spell slot. You just cast it right when you wake up every day, after every long rest, and you just get these active. And they're actually pretty nice, right? Being able to see invisibility can come in a lot of use, especially in certain portions of the game. And if you are a human, having dark vision is always going to be lovely. But this is the equivalent of having superior dark vision, because dark vision only lasts up to 40 feet. This is 80 feet. So this would give you basically superior dark vision if you are not a human, if you already have dark vision, and if you are a human, it's going to give you superior dark vision, so you can see all the benefits you get from Divination. So Divination is a little bit more heady. You know, it requires you to know a little bit more about how the game works and how to navigate using those Portent die, but you can see that it's a very strong school, since you can apply these die to pretty much everything in the game as long as you're within that 60-foot radius. Our second to last school is Illusion. And Illusion is an interesting one because you have 32 spells in Illusion, and 24 of them are Disguise Self's different variations. So Disguise Self Femme Drow, Disguise Self Male Drow. You have basically all permutation of race. There's 12 races, that's 24 spells. So you don't have a wide range of spells to tap into. You have Blur, Color Spray, Fear, Greater Invisibility, Hypnotic Pattern, Invisibility, Minor Illusion, Mirror Image, Phantasmal Force, Phantasmal Killer, Seeming, Shadowblade, and Silence. That's the rest of the spells. So you're not tapping into a bunch of spells, and your 3 abilities from the Illusion School are not that incredible. And again, I don't want to discourage anyone from choosing a subclass. The best subclass in this game is the one you enjoy playing the most. I just want to be completely transparent that level 2, you get this one, Improved Minor Illusion, so you can use Minor Illusion as a bonus action. That's kind of nice. Level 6, you get See Invisibility as a ritual, meaning you can just go ahead and cast it. It's not going to take up a spell slot. And then at level 10, you get Illusory Self, meaning that as a reaction, you can basically go, you can create a duplicate of yourself, which is nifty, but it's a level 10 ability, so it requires a huge investment in the Illusion School, and for the Wizard, where you're probably better off choosing a different subclass because of the lack of very interesting, awesome illusion spells in the game. I mean, they're great though, right? Like, Blur is a great defensive capability. Silence you'll use throughout the entirety of the damn game. Phantasmal Force and Phantasmal Killer are really cool, high and low level, depending on which one you're looking at. Damage spells from Illusion. I just really wish it had even more punch within the school to pull from different spells. You're not any better at using Disguise Self as an illusionist than you are as maybe an evoker. And that, I think, is kind of one of the things that rubs me the wrong way for the subclass options, is that you're just not any better at casting the spells when there's such a limited amount of illusion spells that exist. So this is a very quick and short section because there's not a whole ton of illusion going on. Let's jump to the last one, a bit of a dark horse, into the Transmutation. Looking at Evocation and Divination, we have 2 very strong frontrunners for very good subclasses, right? Because you have really good evocation spells you can dip into, or Divination helps the whole entire party. Transmutation is one of those ones that I think is a really awesome subclass, but you just need to have a good knowledge of the game, and you have to have a good knowledge of like kind of what's in your backpack, because this is all about basically being an alchemist. Like, I mean, you're not going to turn your brother into a suit of armor, but you'll have a lot of really cool capabilities to take advantage of. And your transmutation spells are far and wide. Enhance Leap, Enlarge, Bark Skin, Stone Skin, Cat's Grace, Enhance Ability as a whole is a transmutation spell. Gaseous Form, Good Berry, Slow, Spike Growth is very good. Telekinesis, Thaumaturgy, Thorn Whip, Wind Walk, Lightning Arrow, those are all transmutation spells. Pretty much all the Ranger spells are pretty much transmutation spells, to put it easily. And on top of that, you get this ability. Experimental Alchemy. You can brew 2 alchemical solutions instead of 1 when combining extracts, if you succeed a DC 15 medicine check. So this is the time that choosing medicine as a proficiency is actually super worthwhile, because it allows you to push past this DC check very quickly and easily in the game. I'm just going to choose 2 things here. I was going to say, am I going to show off? I don't think there's many transmutations here. Right there and right there, you have these 2 are transmutation spells. These 2 are transmutation spells, Enhanced Leap and Long Strider. Those spells are all your transmutation capabilities. But there's even more, like I said. We talked a little bit about them just a second ago. But again, like Bark Skin, Enhance Ability, Enlarge, stuff like that, all transmutation. But let's go ahead and accept this. And let's pull up the screen you probably never pulled up in the game by pressing H on the keyboard. Don't know what it is on console. You have got your... all of your potions you can make, right? Well, this is an alchemical solution. All of the rest of this, these are supplements, salts, essences, ashes, vitriols. I mean, they say exactly what they are, right? And your actual solutions are these guys right here. So whenever you go to craft these items, you would have a chance of producing 2 rather than 1. And this is really cool because let's say I want to take advantage of the Elixir of the Colossus, which is very, very good if I'm, say, maybe giving it to Karlach or any kind of frontline fighter, because it lasts until long rest, which is stupid strong. Or if I want to use potions of speed, I can just be making tons of these at a very high rate. I don't know where all my alchemical ingredients are. But if I if I pass that DC check, I just simply get the ability to just have a whole second one. So I put all my ingredients in my bag. Let's go ahead and craft one of these. We failed a medicine check. I don't have a proficiency in medicine, so Aha, rolled a critical fail, even better. There we go. So we succeeded and we got an extra one from that, right? So go all the way down to the bottom or wherever my potions of speed are, and we have gotten another one because of that additional medicine check. So this is going to give us more of our potions of speed as we're taking advantage of our alchemy menu, which we probably never ever use, but it's a great way to get a ton of really awesome potions online en masse, even if it's just simple potions of greater healing or supreme healing, which you'll use quite a bit depending on how your party is set up. So the really great thing that you can do with that. And the fun doesn't end there. At level 6, I get Transmuter Stone. And what this does here is it allows me to create a stone that I keep in my backpack or any of the people in my party. You can only have one stone active, so do keep that in mind. You can't just simply spam through all of these and just go through it. But you can give dark vision out, you can increase movement by 10 feet. I can give any character I want proficiency in Constitution saving throws. Remember, proficiency in Constitution saving throws gives your proficiency bonus to Constitution rolls. Meaning if I want to do a concentration roll, it's a Constitution saving throw. So I can give this to a druid, to a cleric, to myself, to even a ranger that has Hunter's Mark, whatever it is. I would simply add that in. And then I get a resistance to any type of elemental damage. Acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. I simply press this button, and it creates a stone. It goes into my backpack here at the very bottom, and I can hand it to whoever I want, and they have this capability. It's worth noting, too, that this can simply be recycled with any transmutation spell, very similar to the one that we had in Conjuration, right? So I'll cast Featherfall on myself, and this is now reset. So if I want to swap off to a different type of resistance, or I want to give movement to someone, I don't need to cast a spell that takes a spell slot. This Featherfall is a ritual, so it will never take a spell slot for me. So you can constantly have these Transmuter Stones swapping around to the ones that make the most sense for you. And lastly, at level 10, you get Shape Changer. Transform into a blue jay, able to fly. If the blue jay's hit points drop to 0, the target reverts to its original form with its original hit points. So let's just choose things real quickly. Jump into the game. So we'll press Shape Changer. And now I'm a little blue jay. Now the point of this, you can keep in mind too here, you're locked in for 5 turns. This is really good at displacing yourself quickly in combat if you need to, right? Like, all right, let's just get out of this fight, go over there. I'm only gonna dash and I'm gonna sprint. Or I'm sorry, fly. And that's nice, right? Because fly is movement speed. So I can go ahead and dash and double my movement speed and then fly. So do that and then fly like super far if I want, like move away. Oh, not anymore. And you will do that. If you're flying mid-go, you'll swap out and be flying still. What's important about Blue Jay, which is kind of nice outside of combat though, is in a lot of the narrative portions of Act 3 when you're kind of navigating through the city and you need to get to hard to reach places and do a little thing like some skullduggery, or do a little B&E, a little breaking and entering. This ability is actually very useful. It's not as maybe useful as some of the other things that we've seen from some of the other subclasses, but as far as a lot of the other subclasses having lackluster level 10 capabilities, this one's pretty applicable. You can actually use this quite a bit in the game to fly to a harder reach place, to do something, then get out of it immediately because you can just simply swap in and out. It doesn't take up a spell slot, so who cares? You just use it, go do what you want to do narratively, then fly away, whatever it is. So that is our Transmuter. It is a very different school. It is one that is focused on a lot of very cool spells, and it has a lot of very fun applications, but it's one I think, like I said, it does take a good knowledge of the game, how to navigate alchemical solutions to the best of their ability, a medicine proficiency. There's a lot more layers to this than I think Evocation or Divination, which are a little more straightforward for people. And at that, it brings our video here to a close. So hopefully this helps you out in deciding how you want to build your wizard out, or how you want to build Gale out, which subclass you want to take. Do you want to use Abjuration to create the actual true Eldritch Knight you've always wanted to make, because Eldritch Knight itself is a little lackluster, and you choose the Abjuration School and you can cast damn near every single wizard spell and have tons of fun? Or do you want to make some sort of necromancer oathbringer? What? Oathbreaker that has a ton of really awesome layered necromancer capabilities? Or maybe you just want to be someone throwing fireballs with Evocation. There's so many ways you can apply these subclasses in a lot of different ways to your playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3. Don't simply look at this as me saying, hey, yeah, never choose illusion. If you want to play illusion, then play illusion. Please always select the subclass that fits the narrative you have in mind for yourself. Did you go with the background of charlatan and you want to maybe say, you know what, at one point I was a street performer that focused on being a magician, and I decided to go to Wizard School and university, and that's how I became an illusionist, and that's the headcanon I've created for my character. Then guess what? That's the best character that you could ever play in the game, because it's the one that you want to play. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. If you have any questions or you have any recommendations for how to approach these subclasses, please let it be known in the comment section below. I'm always down for different ways and approaches to the game. But have a good one and take care.